All right, well, welcome back to Monday Moments. And this time I'm joined again by Austin Smith, who shared with us some piercing, insightful thoughts that he of life experienced at home. And that just fascinated many of you. I've got a lot of feedback on that. So I just realized there was more. There was more that Austin wanted to share, but in 10 minutes, we just didn't have the time. So let me just stop talking and hand over to Austin. Austin, welcome back.
Hello.
Um, so last time I was fascinated, and that's what I remember about finding worrying time in the day. Completely new concept to me. So why don't you just pick up from there and just share more of what's
Yeah.
happening with you at home, at work, family?
Okay. I think I'm learning and growing a lot um, as a leader, as a parent, um, and uh, so some of these things we mentioned in passing last time, and one of the things was setting aside worry time. So if you feel that there are a lot of things on your plate at any given time, and I set aside my worry time towards the end of the day.
Right.
And it's just a set time that I have, that when I finish, because I don't have a commute anymore because I'm working from home, I might spend a little bit of extra time in my study, or I might take the dog for a walk, put some music on, just change the environment. And I might just go through things. And I found that if I go through things earlier in the evening rather than after dinner, then I've kind of rationalized and parked it. And I don't look at my emails after I've finished work. In fact, I barely look at my phone after sort of 6 o'clock,
Right.
and it's on silent apart from my sort of emergency numbers and my family numbers. So it's just little things like that, and so I don't. Although it's been a great transition that we're going through, um, I think the worry at the start has gradually dissipated, partly because some of these new skills that I'm learning, and one of those, was just setting aside this worry time. And sometimes I write things down, and sometimes I just go through things in my head, and then I either then say, well, is it me that's going to be dealing with it in the morning, or is it going to be someone else on the team that's going to be dealing with it?
Right.
Or if it's a family issue, I need to set aside some time with Anne tonight to have a quick chat in the garden in the nice weather, and just go through it then. So it's very much a case of structure and planning around things that normally we just leave to chance.
So one of the things that I picked up on also was how you feel, two things actually. Number one, your leadership has been changed by this whole crisis and this period, but also your family dynamics have changed because of this period, this crisis. How's that happened? How does that show up in the home?
Probably like most families in the last 3 months, we've been thrust together in this slightly unnatural environment when everyone's working or doing their schooling from home. And of course, that brings with it some irritations and some frustrations at the start. We've had to have another Wi-Fi line put in, for example, because we use internet phones, and so the calls kept dropping, and I would then sort of yell at the kids to sort of, can you just come offline for a little bit whilst I'm using the internet? It was a very precious thing at the start. So we've overcome those sorts of things. Um, and also, even if there are families listening or people listening that don't have children or they've already left home, I think there's also this dynamic where your husband and wife or partners thrown together and suddenly on top of each other and in each other's domains. And that takes a lot of getting used to. And that sort of gives you a little bit of insight into what it might be like to retire. And then you might think, well, I'll delay that for as long as possible. So we've overcome all of that, but it's more lines of communication. And we talked about check-in calls, and we use that dynamic with clients
Yeah.
and the team. And we also started using it with the family. And
Okay.
but a bit more than that. It's trying to help out. How can I help you? What are you doing today? I would say our communication in the family and in the team and with clients is gone up several notches. And in the home dynamic, what I've learned as well is that we all have natural biases about, if we listen to someone's problems, I, for one, would like to try and help and like to fix them because I see myself as that type of personality.
Yes.
But what I've learned is not to assume anything, because sometimes people tell you your problems, sorry, their problems rather, and they sometimes tell me about mine as well. They don't necessarily want them fixed. They just want you to listen to them. And this is something that my wife, Anne, has ground into me the last few weeks, that when she shares something with me, I now say, what do you want me to do with that? Because I used to assume, oh, I can fix that. Sure, you should tell your friend to do this. Sure, you should tell your friend to do that. And she would get all upset with me. And I'd say, well, look, I'm trying to solve your problem. And she goes, I don't want you to solve the problem. I just want you to listen. So it's interesting how, you know, how your relationships with your nearest and dearest are changing, and that you're learning not to assume anything. And then also with clients, when clients tell you things, I'm now learning to sort of step back a bit and not assume that they want me to do anything with that. It could be that they're just passing a comment. And so it's all these little things that I mean, obviously it's known as mindfulness or stepping back, but I think it's more listening. It's the power to listen more deeply and then not react straight away. And to also to understand our personal triggers where perhaps we would jump in and react, and actually to back away from that. And I suppose in a team environment, that could be where you know what the answer is, you can solve the problem. You could easily solve that person's problem, but you don't. You allow them to grow as a person so that they can solve their own problems. So yeah, I just learning a great deal at the moment.
And all that your feeling is, as you look back, has been pushed to your awareness because of what the situation you're in, because of this crisis.
Yeah, we've had to adapt. I mean, everyone, the globe is adapting, and we're all working from home. And I think productivity has probably increased for those that can have a study and have got childcare or something, you know, because you can start work when you want. The danger is that you need to take more regular breaks and need to have a structure in place to do that. So I have various alarms on my phone that remind me to take a break and do various things. And I was talking to a friend at the weekend, actually, who's doing the same as me. He's working from home. And he was coming out of his study and going straight into the kitchen and sort of opening a bottle of wine. And he still had all the work, you know, the work of the day on his mind. And, you know, his wife would say to him, well, how was your day, love? And all the rest of it. But, you know, he wasn't really in the right place to do that.
Yeah.
And so he now leaves and goes and walks around the block. Again, he's got a dog as well. And just because he really misses his commuting time. I think it's really important just to sort of get rid of the day for half an hour. And so it's a new skill that we're having to learn because we're at home and we can just walk out and be with our spouse again. But actually, that's not always the best thing to do, because you might not be in the frame of mind to be particularly happy necessarily.
Right. So what about happiness during this time? How have you protected yours? How have you found yours?
I have certain habits and rituals, and some of them are quite bizarre. I've started to obviously have a little bit of worry time at the end of the day if I need it. I've started to have more regular breaks in the day. I've started to, after dinner, I will say to the family, right, I'm going to the lounge and just do a bit of reading for half an hour. If anyone wants to come in and have a chat with me. If you don't, that's fine. But it's almost owning your space. I think it's really important for family members to say where they're going to be and make it a regular habit so that people can approach you and come and talk to you. Because I think at the moment, especially with teenagers, you know, they must have so many things going on in their minds. Yeah. And I think they find it really hard sometimes to articulate some of those fears. And so we've just set up certain times in the day where they know that they can talk to me about absolutely anything. And I regularly approach them and say, you know, you do realize you can talk to me about absolutely anything. And they might feel that, you know, that, oh, dad's going to judge me or he's going to be upset with me. But hopefully through time, they'll realize that that's not the case. And so it is just opening those lines of communication. And I tend to go up to bed earlier now. I've cut out news on the television completely. That is one of the biggest things I've cut out.
Wow.
I will read news on Financial Times, Bloomberg, BBC website. I will not watch any dramatization of the news, because the news is now become so much of a drama, and the journalists are all, you know, they've got their own problems going on in their life, and it seems to, by osmosis, come into the bulletins. Yes. And it just over dramatizes everything. And I thought, I don't really want to take on those other people's emotions. I want to own my own emotions about what's going on and be level-headed about, you know, everything. So I've cut out any sort of, you know, TV news bulletins.
Right.
And what you'll find is that when you read the news, you will just absorb what you need to absorb, and you won't absorb all the negativity. And I think it's a really important other skill that I've just picked up. And I think I would recommend that. Just give up watching TV news.
Wow. So why don't you summarize those points? Because each one comes from this very special time, and each one is about you changing.
Yeah.
So can you summarize that for us today?
I think in summary, it's beware any assumptions in your communication. Always ask for clarification. You know, what do you mean by that? Or what are you feeling right now? I mean, you know, teenagers get angry. We've had a couple of situations where our teenagers have got very angry, and it's you know, down to us to stay calm and say, well, okay, what are you being angry about? Oh, well, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, that's fine. When you're ready to tell me, tell me. But in the meantime, you know, don't talk to your mother like that. I mean, we all go through that sort of role play in a way. So it's about making interventions in a calm way and having the space for them to approach you when they do want to approach you. But also then managing my own day so that I have as much chance as possible not to absorb other people's negativity, not to absorb other people's stress.
Right.
And actually that makes you happier, just because you're not absorbing all of the negativity that's out there. So yeah, I think you do need to look after yourself first to a degree, and then you can give to others.
Thank you. So for me, that I'm taking away other things, including what I learned from the first conversation.
We never know what we're going to talk about.
No, we don't. But all of it seems to be to do with, I can be happier if I behave like this.
Yeah.
That's what's coming through for me.
Yeah.
So I'm taking that away. I'm not going to let that one go. And there's got to be some time when we can spend more time together. Austin, thank you so much for joining us for Monday Moments. It's been wonderful having you on.
Thank you, David. Take care.